Hey, Desert Druid again. Piggybacking on the last video that I made that was about my neighbor who had a lot of dolls. Um, Funny story, when we moved into that same place, just before I'd met her, I actually had another experience with a doll, but I'm pretty sure it was a giant mannequin. Anyway, it was about as tall as I was, probably like 4 feet tall, maybe even five, probably closer to 4 feet tall, and it looked like a Barbie. So I had blue eyes, blonde hair, but I found her completely naked. And it just so happened to be within the trailer that we were living in because we bought it at a really good price. The people had moved in a rush, so they didn't really get a chance to clean it, so we had to. Anyway, I had found this gigantic doll and I loved her. I dressed her up, I brushed her hair, I did everything with her, and that lasted for about 4 days. So within that first week, she was fine. On the fifth day, I started noticing that she was moving. Very small, minuscule movements. Her hands would move, her hair would move, but some of it could be passed off as gravity and the joints, free moving because, those arms are heavy on the doll. So some of it could be chalked up to weird coincidences. Anyway, I remember one day I got home from school. Now you have to understand I was a latchkey kid. For those of you who don't know what a latchkey kid is, it means that I would get home before my parents. So I would typically either go into the house because the house was unlocked, or I had a key, or I'd go to the neighbors so they could open it up. So I was usually home before my parents. And at this time, one of those cases, my neighbor had to open the door for me. So they were home. I was not completely alone. I could go to them. And I did. Oh, I went to them. But I'm going to tell you why I went over to the neighbor's house. I'd gone into my room, and that doll was standing. Now, I don't recall whether or not I left her standing in the corner, but I do remember her falling. So I don't think I cried, but if it were to have happened to me today, I might have cried because it scared me so bad. Well, anyway, this wasn't even the scariest part. I'd gone over to the neighbor's house, explained to him what happened, and funny enough, my neighbor's wife looked at me and said, I'm not going in there. I asked her why. She said, there's a spirit around here. What? She's like, oh yeah, no, I've told my husband numerous times, I don't want to go anywhere near that house. What do you mean? There's something really terrible there. Something bad happened. And I'm sitting there trying to figure this out. Mind you, I'm like 5 or 6 years old, so none of this really makes sense to me. I just looked at her and I said, okay, well, can I come in and have a glass of water or something? Because I'm kind of shaken. So about an hour or two goes by, and then my mom comes home, and I tell her what happened. And she's a little incredulous at first. She's like, no, there's no way. There's no way. Well, a few hours later, we're going to sit down and watch TV while we're eating dinner. And the doll was on the couch with us. I was eating dinner. My mom was eating dinner. And the doll was just, facing forward. I tried to make sure she was facing forward so we could all watch TV together. And she turned her head to my mom. Now, of course, I didn't see this. I didn't notice it. She noticed it. And she looked at me and she said, why'd you turn her head toward me? What? Yeah, you turned her head toward me. She's looking at me now. And I look up and I see her head swivel down toward me. And I'm sitting there, excuse me? Excuse me, there's no way. So, of course, my first natural response was I locked her in my mom's closet. Now, why I chose my mom and dad's closet, I think it's because of my dad, because I knew nothing would happen if my dad was there. So I figured, yeah, right there, perfect, perfect place for it to be. You know, my mom usually worked graveyard and my dad usually worked during the day. So there was, usually going to be someone there to monitor it, you know? Well, cut to the seventh day. The seventh day, we're all home. Everyone's home. And we're trying to clean it up as best we can. And they're trying to get ready for work, or one's getting home from work and one's getting ready for work or taking a nap. There was some kind of overlap where I was going to be playing by myself for an hour or two while they were in the middle of something. They were home, but they were getting ready for something. And I tried again to play with this doll, and I distinctly remember her head spinning 360 degrees 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on that last rotation, my mom walks in, and the head finishes rotating, looks at me, and then turns its head all the way to her. And I swear to God, I dropped that thing so fast. And I went to my mom and I said, "We are getting rid of that thing." And she said, "Absolutely. Done. Gone. We're getting rid of it right now." I'm going to have to tell you, we had to get rid of that thing 3 times before we put it in a big dumpster. Big dumpster. I mean, we had to drive 45 minutes to a different place to dump this thing off before it stopped coming back. That was just one of my experiences. I've been the Desert Druid, and I hope you like my slumber party stories. I'll see you later.